So this is from Tony Busby. Quote, today we filed a motion to put Lauren Baxley's case on the trial docket in the Houston court where it was originally filed. Busby said in a statement provided to Cleveland.com, and it was Mary Kay Cabot who reported on this and did a great job. Said, quote, all other victims in the Deshaun Watson litigation that this firm represented have settled their claims. Mrs. Baxley, to her credit, has refused and wants a public trial. I intend to help her, give her that. She's entitled to have a trial on her claims. I will proudly present her case. Ms. Baxley has a strong case, and I encourage the internet trolls to take note as we proceed. So Tony Busby's not letting up. A foot on the gas, full throttle, and Tony Busby is going after Deshaun Watson here again. So right when you thought, if you're the Cleveland Browns, all right, at least we got the tough stuff out of the way. Let's just focus on this season where jobs could be on the line, most notably for Kevin Stefanski. Here we go during the offseason for the Cleveland Browns to have to deal with more of a more drama surrounding Deshaun Watson and his $230 million.
And this thing goes one of two ways. Either it gets dismissed or there could be a settlement where it doesn't go to trial. Which I believe a jury decides on this once they hear the evidence of whether or not it should. But the other key point to this is it's in a court in Houston. So, I would assume that if this does go to trial, it will impact Deshaun Watson in the sense that he'll have to continue to travel back and forth to Houston if it doesn't get dismissed.
$230 million guaranteed, and he's going to see every cent. And this is still going on.
He's not going to see every cent,
Well, you know what I mean.
He's had to pay out settlements.
Yeah, I mean, there's some settlements.
And there's going to be – I know it isn't always about money, but it is always about money.
But think about, too, though, like as much as you point the finger at Deshaun Watson, Jimmy Haslam signed him to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, what does that say about Jimmy Haslam?
Yeah. It says that Jimmy has – I saw and shouts out to Fox's Shannon Sharp. He did an interview with Steve Harvey not too long ago, recently. And Steve Harvey is like, I'm a Deshaun Watson fan. And basically went on further to say his advice to Deshaun was, just don't turn over when you're getting your massage. Like, just stay face down, And my whole thing is, right. Yeah, I mean, and he is a comedian, so, after, the root of it, I mean, maybe he is just being funny. But to me, there are a lot of people out here that don't think he did anything wrong. And maybe someone like Jimmy Haslam, clearly, I mean, with the type of investment that they put into him, they don't feel like he did. They believe his story. They believe he didn't do anything wrong. And I just find it interesting because the truth is there somewhere. What it is, and it could be truth by interpretation too. I don't know. It's like that's one of those complicated, conversations to have the closer you are to this situation. But I mean, there's a contingency that doesn't think that Deshaun Watson is wrong.
If there's
nothing wrong happened.
If the truth is somewhere in the middle, then the middle is, well, maybe not all 24 weren't willing participants in what happened, but maybe it's like 10 or 11, which is still ridiculous to think about. Probably the wrong term to use.
I would go back to the initial when there was 30 that came out as accusers and then 30 that came out as defense. You're still going, okay, this dude's got a problem.
Right.
You're sick in the head if you have that many different massage therapists.
The number itself tells you
and you played for one team. And even if you travel a lot, okay, but like there's something off there. It's predatory in nature. I do think there's some truth in some of these. And like Jonas said, maybe it's not all of them. I mean, you'd like to believe all of them. But, you know that there's certain people who have different intentions, and that's a possibility too. But there's too much smoke for there not to be fire.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's the general issue with all this. It seems predatory. It seems like something crazy was going on. And so I continue to go back to, but then you have an ownership group that, and by the way, like when people say, well, Jimmy Haslam, those guys, must have been okay with it. They didn't do that much digging around because they didn't get involved in the process of even looking at Deshaun Watson until very late into that offseason. I mean, he was going to Atlanta. It was a done deal. And then they turn around and give him a deal that he can't refuse. That quarterbacks are still trying to get in this league that no one else will give.
While all this stuff is out there.
why all of it's still going on.
They got into a bidding war over a guy who's got close to 30 pending lawsuits accusing him of sexual misconduct, and they grossly overpaid what Atlanta was offering. And it was so much so to where Deshaun Watson already had a Falcons jersey, and he didn't even think about it, but it was sitting on like a foosball table when he posted a picture of his Browns jersey. So the Browns willingly outbid Atlanta because they had to have Deshaun Watson. How bad must things have been with Baker Mayfield, or how desperate must they have been that Jimmy Haslam said, forget all that stuff, we'll give him $230 million guaranteed. How can you say no? It's crazy.
But think about this, though. Like, how does that make you view him as an owner for being able to contribute to that?
Agreed. Like, I don't.
What's his capabilities?
And that's why I feel like every owner
open
looks
his
at
treasure
him.
chest.
Every owner looks at him though and goes, not only did you put us in a tough situation, whether Steve Bisciotti with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson or whoever else,
but with a questionable dude.
Well, not only does it frustrate them from a business standpoint, but I think there's also a lot of other owners that are like, are you serious? Like, this is the guy you want to give that deal to? Like, this is the guy? Like, it really put every single owner that not only has a player that has done more on the field, like a LaVar Jackson or whoever else you want to throw in that conversation that's next up, Joe Burrow already, et cetera, but every single other quarterback that has done that on the field already and has also been better off the field, doesn't have 30 pending lawsuits. I mean, the whole thing it's absolutely – it still blows my mind to this day. And we're talking about something that's already over a year old. Like, that decision's already been made. It's still hard to understand how Jimmy Haslam would make that decision.
Let me ask you a question. Because I know you still are close with people in Cleveland, obviously, and in Ohio. But in the city of Cleveland, people that are connected to the Browns or cover the Browns, how has this landed with them?
I mean, honestly, it's mixed. I mean, you get some people who are like, I don't know enough about it. I just want the Browns to win. I mean, that's the thing. Like, this was born out of desperation. They wanted a quarterback. Apparently, Baker, they draft number 1 overall, who wins them a playoff game. That wasn't good enough.
No.
You know, he plays through an injury his final year there. It's not good enough. Whatever happens. And then they moved on to Deshaun Watson. And the sad thing is, like, Jacoby Brissett actually played some good football for him last year. But not many people highlight that. They want to see what they have in Watson, considering the investment they made. But you get this kind of mixed reaction to, yeah, you know, it stinks, but we just really want to win. like that's how it comes off. Is they realize that, like, you know, at this point, yeah, he's our quarterback, so we got to support him, you know. But the second things go wrong, I think they're all going to be like, all right, good, thank God, can we just get someone else in here?